studying this module, you shall be able to know the concepts of positive and negative affect, learn more about positive emotions, identify the correlates of positive and negative affect, and understand the directions for future research in this area. In the early psychological literature, negative emotions were largely discussed, while positive emotional states were relatively ignored. This can be attributed to the fact that negative emotions have an obvious survival value. The first major breakthrough in this regard happened in 1975 with the publication of Paul Mehill's discussion of hedonic capacity. Subsequently, researchers have discussed about two largely independent factors, negative affect and positive affect, which encompass the basic dimensions of emotional experience. The negative affect dimension represents the extent to which an individual experiences negative emotional states, while positive affect reflects the extent to which one experiences positive states such as joy, confidence, etc. Positive and negative affectivity. According to Averill, there are around 550 to 600 words for different emotional experiences in the English language. A wide range of emotional experiences can be described with the help of the circumplex space defined by two broad dimensions. Larson and Diener, Averill, etc. have labeled these dimensions activation or arousal, ranging from highly activated or aroused to a low level of activation or arousal, and pleasantness or evaluation, ranging from pleasant or positive to unpleasant or negative. A number of important findings have been made with respect to positive and negative affectivity. Positive affectivity has been found to be correlated with extroversion, and negative affectivity is correlated with neuroticism. Positive affectivity is also found to be temporally consistent after the age of 30. Negative affectivity reaches its peak in late adolescence and then declines with age until middle adulthood. Both positive and negative affectivity are heritable characteristics to a certain degree with heritability coefficients of about 0.5. However, environmental influences can influence positive affectivity too. For example, Heddy and Waring found that 31% of participants in their study over a 6-year period showed improvements in their positive affectivity scores by more than one standard deviation. Positive and negative affectivity represent the experiential components of neurobiological systems that evolved to address different evolutionary tasks according to Watson et al. Positive affectivity is also associated with regular physical activity, adequate sleep, regular socializing with close friends, and striving for valued goals. Positive affectivity. Individuals high on positive affectivity experience frequent and intense episodes of pleasurable mood. Usually, they are cheerful, enthusiastic, energetic, and confident. In contrast, persons low in positive affectivity report very low levels of happiness, excitement, and confidence. Whereas negative affect is a component of the withdrawal-oriented behavioral inhibition, which prevents behaviors that might lead to undesirable consequences, Positive affect is a component of the approach-oriented behavioral facilitation system which directs organisms toward situations and experiences that may yield pleasure and reward. This system is adaptive since it helps in obtaining resources, thereby facilitating survival. Happy people tend to report high positive affectivity and low negative affectivity. Negative affectivity is very strongly related to neuroticism. Overall correlation 0.58, but more modestly correlated with other traits. The general positive affect scale is most strongly linked, that is correlation of 0.49 with extraversion according to Watson et al. Diener and Diener showed that most people describe themselves as experiencing at least moderate levels of positive emotionality. Major life events exert a significant influence on well-being only in the short term, and eventually people adapt to them and gradually move back to the pre-existing baseline or set point according to many researchers. Thus, it can be said that we may be fated to remain on a hedonic treadmill. Causes and correlates of positive affectivity. Many studies have been done to identify the factors affecting positive affectivity. Some of these are genetic evidence. Positive affectivity is strongly heritable. Most of the data in this regard are based on measures of extraversion. Heritability estimates for extraversion derived from twin studies generally fall in the 0.40 to 0.60 range with a median value of approximately 0.50 according to Clark and Watson. Demographic and environmental correlates. Many researchers have examined how various demographic variables such as age, gender, marital status and socio-economic status are related to individual differences in happiness and affectivity. It is clear from the findings of these studies that objective demographic factors are relatively weak predictors of happiness and positive affectivity. Positive affectivity is not systematically related to age, and variables such as annual income, level of educational attainment and socio-economic status are weakly related to happiness and well-being. Men and women report almost identical levels of happiness and positive affectivity. Watson and Clark compared men and women on the general positive affect scale of the PSY in 10 large data sets. A significant gender difference emerged in only 2 of these samples. Finally, Watson examined daily mood data collected from male and female college students. Each respondent completed the general positive affect scale of the PSY on a daily basis for a minimum of 30 days. The mean daily positive affect scores of men and women were 28.38 and 28.39 respectively. Hence, it can be seen that men and women do not differ in their level of positive affectivity. 2 variables have consistently emerged as significant predictors of positive affectivity. Many studies have shown that positive affectivity is moderately correlated with various indicators of social behavior such as number of close friends, frequency of contact with friends and relatives, involvement in social organizations and overall levels of social activity. It is also seen that married people are significantly more likely to describe themselves as very happy than are those who have never married. People who describe themselves as spiritual or religious report higher levels of happiness than those who do not. Clark and Watson found that religion and spirituality are positively related to positive affectivity but are unrelated to negative affectivity. Psychopathology. Low levels of positive affectivity have been found to be associated with a number of clinical syndromes such as social phobia, agoraphobia, post-traumatic stress disorder, schizophrenia, and substance disorders. Low positive affectivity plays a particularly crucial role in mood disorders. Negative affectivity is strongly linked to the melancholic subtype of major depression. Melancholic depression and bipolar disorder represent marked differences in positive affectivity and the behavioral facilitation system. Manic episodes are associated with an extremely elevated positive mood, whereas melancholic depression is characterized by a profound anhedonia and an almost complete inability to experience pleasure. Job and marital satisfaction. Individuals who are high in positive affectivity feel good about themselves and the world around them. Due to this, they report greater satisfaction with important aspects of their lives. Agho, Price and Mueller reported a 0.44 correlation between positive affectivity and job satisfaction in a sample of 550 hospital employees. Watson and Slack asked employees to complete a measure of positive affectivity and to rate their job satisfaction more than 2 years later. It was found that positive affectivity remained a significant moderate predictor of various aspects of job satisfaction. Positive affectivity also is significantly correlated with marital and relationship satisfaction. Enhancing positive affectivity. Given that positive affectivity leads to so many positive outcomes, it becomes an important goal to achieve. The question is, can positive affectivity be enhanced or improved? Indeed, people do show significant evidence of significant change in their lives. For instance, long-term stability coefficients in older adults generally fall in the 0.60 to 0.80 range. Thus, change is possible. 3 general principles that emerge from research in this area are: studies of short-term mood indicate that positive affect is more related to action than to thought, and therefore, high levels of positive mood are most likely when a person is actively engaged with the environment and pleasurable activities. 2 broad classes of activity are more conducive to elevated positive mood: socializing and interpersonal behavior, and exercise and physical activity. Contemporary researchers emphasize that it is the process of striving after goals rather than goal attainment which is crucial for happiness and positive affectivity. Csikszentmihalyi and Mihaly stated that the best moments usually occur when a person's body or mind is stretched to its limits in a voluntary effort to accomplish something difficult and worthwhile. Finally, attempts at change would be more successful if they are based on an understanding of our mood systems. This can be achieved by monitoring our moods and becoming more sensitive to our internal rhythms. For instance, sleep researchers have shown that a substantial percentage of the population is seriously sleep deprived. And since adequate amounts of sleep are essential to maintaining alertness, This leads to low levels of positive affect in many individuals. Positive emotions. Seligman, in his book Authentic Happiness, classifies positive emotions into three categories. Those associated with the past, that is, satisfaction, contentment, fulfillment, pride, and serenity. And then the past and the future, such as optimism, hope, confidence, faith, and trust. Two classes of positive emotions are concerned with the present: momentary pleasures and more enduring gratifications. The pleasures include both bodily pleasures, coming through the senses, feelings that come from sex, beautiful perfumes, delicious flavors, etc., and higher pleasures coming from more complex activities that include feelings such as glee, comfort, and ecstasy. Gratifications involve states of absorption that result from engagement in activities which involve using our unique signature strengths. The overall balance of people's positive and negative emotions has been shown to contribute to their subjective well-being. Positive emotions have received little empirical attention since traditionally the focus was more on psychological problems and their remedies. Another reason could be that there is a habit among emotion theorists of creating general models of emotion which typically focus on negative emotions with positive emotions added later. Positive emotions are often confused with related affective states. The distinction among positive emotions, sensory pleasure, and positive mood have often been blurred. There is an emerging consensus that emotions, both positive and negative, are best conceptualized as multi-component response tendencies that unfold over relatively short time spans. Emotions begin with an individual's assessment of the personal meaning of some antecedent event. This appraisal process triggers a variety of response tendencies manifested across component systems, such as subjective experience, facial expressions, and physiological changes. Sometimes various forms of sensory pleasure, like satisfaction of hunger or thirst, are mistaken as positive emotions. Yet, emotions differ from physical sensations since emotions require cognitive appraisal or meaning assessment. In contrast, pleasure can be caused simply by changing the immediate physical environment. Moreover, whereas pleasure depends heavily on bodily stimulation, positive emotions more often occur in the absence of external physical sensation. Pleasurable sensations, therefore, can be considered automatic responses to fulfilling bodily needs. Positive emotions are also confused with positive moods. Yet, emotions differ from moods in that emotions are about some personally meaningful circumstance and are typically short-lived and occupy the foreground of consciousness. In contrast, moods are typically free-floating or objectless, are more long-lasting and occupy the background of consciousness. Functions of positive emotions. The function of all positive emotions has been identified mostly as facilitating approach behaviors. Experiences of positive emotions motivate individuals to engage with their environments and undertake activities which facilitate adaptation and survival. The broaden and build theory of positive emotions. According to Fredrickson, positive emotions appear to broaden people's momentary thought-action repertoires and build their enduring personal resources. Positive emotions have a complementary effect. They broaden people's momentary thought-action repertoires, which widens the array of the thoughts and actions. Due to this, creative urges are manifested in social and physical behavior as well as in intellectual and artistic behavior. A positive emotion creates the urge to explore, take in new information and experiences and expand the self in the process. Contentment creates the urge to sit back and savor current life circumstances and integrate these circumstances into new views of self and of the world. Love creates recurring cycles of urges to play with, explore and savor out loved ones. All this has indirect and long-term adaptive benefits since broadening helps in building enduring personal resources. Play also builds enduring social resources like social bonds and attachments. Childhood play builds enduring intellectual resources by increasing levels of creativity and aiding in brain development. Exploration motivated by the positive emotion of interest creates knowledge and intellectual complexity, while the savoring prompted by contentment produces self-insight and changes worldviews. Through experiences of positive emotions, people transform themselves, becoming more creative, knowledgeable, resilient, and socially integrated individuals. The broadening hypothesis. The first central premise of the broaden and build theory is that experiences of positive emotions broaden a person's momentary thought-action repertoire. This is the broadening hypothesis. Negative emotional traits like anxiety and depression lead to a narrowed attention focus, whereas positive emotional traits like subjective well-being and optimism lead to a broadened attentional focus. Experiments have shown that positive emotions produce patterns of thought that are notably unusual, flexible, creative and receptive. Positive emotions appear to enlarge the cognitive context, which is linked to increases in brain dopamine levels. The building hypothesis. The second central premise of the broaden and build theory is that experiences of positive emotions help in building people's enduring personal resources through their broadening effects. Hence, positive emotions can be linked to increases in physical, intellectual and social resources. By broadening people's thought and action modes, positive emotions improve coping and build resilience, which in turn lead to experiences of positive emotions. Block and Kremen found that people who are high on resilience show faster cardiovascular recovery following negative emotional arousal than do those who are low. This faster recovery is mediated by the positive emotions experienced by highly resilient people. These positive emotions in turn allow them to bounce back quickly from negative emotional arousal. Intervention programs to increase the prevalence of positive emotions. There are many ways to increase the prevalence of positive emotions. Practicing relaxation. This includes meditation, yoga, imagery exercises, progressive muscle relaxation, etc. Various relaxation practices work because they jumpstart the positive emotion of contentment. Contentment is a mindful emotion that elicits cognitive changes and creates an urge to savor the present moment and integrate those momentary experiences into an enriched appreciation of one's place in the world. Relaxation practices induce contentment, thereby creating conditions for experiencing positive emotions. Next is increasing pleasant activities. Another strategy is to encourage people to increase their rates of engagement in pleasant activities such as socializing, being creative, and being physically active. Such interventions are successful in decreasing depression. Positive emotions result from finding positive meaning. People find positive meaning within ordinary daily events and activities by reframing on assigning those events and activities with positive value. Finding positive meaning also produces significant therapeutic effects such as recovery from depressed mood and improvements in health and psychological well-being. Finding positive meaning produces these benefits because doing so generates positive emotions that broaden habitual modes of thinking and build enduring personal resources. Directions for future research. The following areas can be pursued for future research in this field. What changes in basic cognitive processes underlie change in the scope of thoughts and actions called forth? Is the scope of attention enlarged during experiences of positive emotions? Do emotion-related changes in the scope of attention and cognition generate emotion-related differences in openness to information? Assessing the link between the psychological and physiological effects of positive emotions, testing the build component of the Broaden and build theory. Can experiences of positive emotions over time build enduring social resources such as empathy, altruism, intimacy motive, and relationship satisfaction? Let us now summarize what we have learnt in this module. In the early psychological literature, negative emotions were largely discussed while positive emotional states were largely ignored. Later researchers discussed about two largely independent factors, negative affect and positive affect. The negative affect dimension represents the extent to which an individual experiences negative emotional states, while positive affect reflects the extent to which one experiences positive states such as joy, confidence, etc. Positive affectivity has been found to be correlated with extroversion and negative affectivity is correlated with neuroticism. Individuals high on positive affectivity experience frequent and intense episodes of pleasurable moods, are cheerful, enthusiastic, energetic, and confident. Positive affect is a component of the approach-oriented behavioral facilitation system which directs organisms towards situations and experiences that may yield pleasure and reward. Positive affectivity is strongly heritable. Positive affectivity is not systematically related to age and variables such as annual income, level of educational attainment, and socio-economic status. Men and women report almost identical levels of happiness and positive affectivity. Many studies have shown that positive affectivity is moderately correlated with various indicators of social behavior. People who describe themselves as spiritual or religious report higher levels of happiness than those who do not. Low levels of positive affectivity have been found to be associated with a number of clinical syndromes. Positive affectivity is also significantly correlated with job satisfaction and marital satisfaction. Positive affectivity can be enhanced by being engaged in pleasurable activities, striving for goals, and better understanding of our mood systems. Seligman classified positive emotions into three categories: those associated with the past, the present, and the future. The distinction among positive emotions, sensory pleasure, and positive mood have often been blurred. According to Fredrickson, positive emotions appear to broaden people's momentary thought action repertoires and build their enduring personal resources. There are many ways to increase the prevalence of positive emotions, like practicing relaxation and increasing pleasant activities.